Hello and welcome to another episode of the Instant Impact Event Show. I'm Cheryl Williams.
I'm CJ Williams. Thank you for being here.
Yes, we are happy to have you here and to be talking about some more awesome event topics.
That's what we're here for.
It seems like it's been a while since we've done one of these.
It has been.
It's been
I was out of town. I've been back. We've been busy.
And we also batch sometimes. Like if we know you're going
Yes.
out of town, we kind of record a few and then we have them to go out. That way we can consistently,
Yes.
put them out. But it does seem
Yes.
like it's been a little while since we've had the lights, camera, and action. So
They're on.
yeah, we're back to it. This is what we do every single time. Like when we're ready to start the video, so
Yes.
we know our mark. So when it's
Yes.
time to edit, it makes it a little
lot
easier
easier.
to do
Unless
that.
you do it multiple times. Like we just did.
Right. Don't cut it there. Can you believe that we are heading into March?
Where?
Like,
Did the time go?
are we
Where?
the only ones
Where?
that are like, how are we 2 months
going so
down
fast.
and we're heading into
Yes,
March?
that fast. Our
Defi-
birthdays are coming up.
Not quite that fast.
Yeah, but it's, it's
Our
coming.
birthdays are in the summer, so.
Yeah, but they're coming fast.
Okay, they're coming fast.
I don't want it to.
Mason's on a countdown for his. His is
Yes.
in May, so
Yes.
he's counting down to his. He's got it on the calendar. He's ready to go.
Yes.
He wants to be 8.
How about the
Really
hot
fast.
weather we're having in the middle of winter?
It's not hot, I wouldn't say.
Come on, it's almost 70 here.
No, it's not. It's 60
Almost 70.
and windy. So sometimes it's
windy.
50, but it's like that spring weather. You need multiple layers. You need jackets in the morning. You need your hat, your gloves, your jacket. By the
Yes.
afternoon, you want to be in a t-shirt. So it just kind of depends
Looking
on
for a pool.
where you're at. But we had rain. We had a beautiful thunderstorm that cleared the air.
I love that.
And then today it was cloudy, but now the sun is
Yes.
out and shining. And
Yes.
this time of year, we were talking on our walk today, like, where do the birds go? Because they are back.
when it's really
and
cold,
They
yes.
are talking. Like, they are just making themselves
Chirping,
known.
chirping.
They are flying in. Hundreds of
100
them just
at our window.
flying in and grabbing a bunch of food,
It's a
I
good
guess, and
way to wake up.
building their nests, and they are on. So
Yes.
spring is here. We've
It's
got
close.
beautiful
It's
trees
almost
that are
here.
wanting to bud. They've got I can look out the window
Yes.
right there. They're starting to bud.
Yes,
Like
patches of grass that are green.
It's interesting because we moved last year, and so we're used to.
We weren't here yet.
No,
last
we're
year.
used to like colder. It doesn't really start warming up until like
Colorado
May,
weather.
June. You're gonna have many snowstorms still, and it's interesting to see like end of February heading into March. Things are blooming, grass is getting green, the birds are here. Like
Kids are loving that.
and we're able to get outside more and enjoy it too. So
Yes.
that part's nice.
Very.
Yep. All right, why don't we jump into today's topic, which is event checklists and event schedules.
Very important.
Why?
For your
Why
event.
is it so important?
Because if you don't have your checklist, you can forget items.
Oh, do you have a scenario where that might have happened?
Oh, a long time ago. I was thinking about it. And, when you don't go through your checklist regularly and double check it because maybe you brought your own equipment. And I almost forgot audio speakers for my event. I had everything else. And then they asked, I remember last time you brought your own. Are you bringing your own speakers this time? And I was like, no. So I might have to order. I should order those. So it's very important to have a checklist. And then your schedules also.
Yeah, no matter how many
you have
events you've done or how many years
Things
you've
can
been
fall
doing
through the
it,
cracks.
having that checklist, having your schedule, having those checks and balances really, so that you know you're going through and you're not just checking it off. You're like, okay, did we cover all these? And it's AV, but it's also if you have your venue, you need to make sure you're going through and covering everything that you have with them.
You can
if you
forget
have your
sales tables. You can forget
I mean,
ordering your F&B. Anything.
the list is long, and that's why there are so many different nuances when it comes to having your event.
Yes.
That you want to have the checklist, and your checklist should start before your event. It should have items on. Well, we need to pick a date.
Yes.
a location. And then you need to start looking for a venue. Before you start looking for a venue, you need to figure out, how many people.
Right.
So
and then that helps with your budget.
and this is
also.
why, right, and your checklist should be, okay, event date, do we have that? Okay, where's our event?
Yes.
What city are we having it? Where's the location?
Is it locked in?
How many attendees? Right, that's
Locked
good.
in.
Are we
Yes.
flexible at all on these dates? Like, is this the only date, or do we have a buffer date, right?
Right. If they don't have the date, if you want a certain venue and that's not available to you, at least you have a backup date, and then you can ask about that date also, and then they'll be open on that date.
Because
you never know.
sometimes, this is your date. Like, there is no moving. You have to find a venue in this
Yes.
location
Yes.
during these dates, no fans or buts. But if you know, hey, we could do it this week, or these dates, or these
That will
dates,
help.
that when you're looking, you know that, so that you have it,
Yes.
like, maybe you have a preferred date, but you also have another date. So having that, and then knowing how many attendees are you having, because when you start looking for your venue space, it all comes down to how much space do you
Yes.
need, and that's based on your requirements, but also your attendee. How is your event being set up? Are we doing, yes?
Don't have it. And also checking for holidays or special events or things that are happening, because that will affect your dates.
And each city, I mean, if you're going to a city to have your event, it's not in your own backyard, right, where you're familiar with all the things that are going on there. And even if you live in a city, sometimes you're not even familiar with everything that's going on.
No.
So you want to look at, I mean, I know one time we were looking at booking a venue, and at least the venue knew. We didn't know, but the venue was like, it's not really a good date because the street is closed off because we have a race going through, that weekend. And so
Yes.
at least they said that, right? Because we didn't know. And so looking for all of those little things. I mean, sometimes the streets are closed down. Sometimes other conventions and
Blocked
things are
off.
going on
Or
during
parade.
that time. Sometimes
Yes.
there's parades.
Parades.
There's also sometimes huge conventions that are going on at certain, and they take up all of the surrounding
Right.
events plus the hotels. And so if you had a
All
fly-in
booked out.
event, people wouldn't be able to find a room to stay because they
Especially
booked it
those tech events.
years
Yes.
in advance. And so if you're not booking your event, 5 years out,
Right.
some people are, right? They're looking and they know where it's going to be this year and next year, and they have them booked out, so they have their attendees know,
Right.
the venues know, the rooms are already booked. And so when you're looking for your dates and your space, you need to know, is this a good weekend? I mean, like the major holidays.
Right.
So you kind of like, oh, well, I know this is going to avoid that. And within each location, there's things that are constantly going on, and maybe if you could pick a different date, it might be more conducive.
Even for those events that are 5 years booked out, things can happen also. So that's a challenge also, because things will happen. Every year is different.
Yeah.
Like a race. NASCAR or something else is downtown, and it's going to be racing in front of the hotel and blocking off everything near it.
Yeah.
You never know.
And that's a lot of places, big events like that, they do book them out. So at least a couple
Right.
years.
Gotta
I
check.
don't suggest that you book your events that far in advance. I mean, we're always like, don't book
year
it
or
last
two.
minute.
No.
But, 18 months, that's good on your
Right.
space.
Because you might want to change also.
Right, and there maybe you're going a different direction, or maybe you're changing something up, or you never.
Maybe your
or,
event is different also.
Correct. So there's all kinds of things. So 6 months to a year, that's a good amount of time to book something out.
Right.
3 to 6 months, you're cutting it short, and under 3 months, you got a boogie because
Yeah,
you're
right.
and it also depends on. Are you having 20 people at your event? Well, that's different. If you're having
Yes.
200 or 2,000, that makes a different number. So the more people you have coming to your event, the further out you need to book it, so
Correct.
you can make sure, one, you're able to get butts in seats. You want to be able to fill that room, but also they need to be able to plan. But the larger the event, the harder it is for you to find the space as well, because you can't just fit in a corner.
Nope.
Right?
And they will put you in a corner.
Yeah, they will. They're like, oh, you've got 20 people, we'll just shove you over here. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
So,
and they open.
it's it's space. It's okay. So back to the checklist. that's one of the things that you want to be having on your list. You want to have your dates and your times and your location. Then you start looking for the venue. What are your requirements there? Are you wanting food and beverage? Are you getting AV? Are you...
So that's why you need different checklists, not just a checklist this long and keep going and going with your everything you need. You should have, okay, for these 4 different things that we need, AV, the scheduling for the event, this, have them separated also.
I'm a checklist kind of person. So the way I break my checklist down...
There we go. Yes.
I'm going to give you the tips here. I mean, who's the most organized between you and I?
Oh,
for
course,
sure.
Always.
Who has
but
the most?
It's true, right?
Who has
have
the
different
most checklists? Yeah.
You want a different checklist.
I'll just tell you how your
checklist.
checklist should work. You need a master checklist. You need one that has all the details, right? Everything from A to Z, from before event to... Then what I suggest doing is having your before event or pre-event checklist. What needs to go on before we actually get to the event? All of the different things. And then you need to have your during event checklist. What do we need to make sure gets covered during the event, right? What are all the things, the moving parts, and then you need to have your post event or after event checklist. So I would say 3 checklists, have it as a master so you have it all in one place though.
Yep.
And then on your checklist, you need to say, are you doing that? Are you delegating that to somebody else?
Yes.
That's someone else's role. And then next to each item, right? So you could have a checklist, you could have a spreadsheet, however it works best for you to have it laid out.
Right.
But you want to know what it is that needs to be covered, who it is that's in charge of that task, right? That check item. And then when it gets checked off, then you want to know that as well. So like use technology to your advantage, right? So you can have a checklist and everybody can be working on that
on the same list
in real time. So you can see like, oh, we're making progress over here, right? Oh, okay. This
Or
has been
this is
taken
lagging.
care of. This needed to be taken care of, last Friday. It hasn't yet. So when
No.
we have
What's
our
the
team
challenge?
meeting,
Yes.
we need to discuss what's going on this, right? So that way and everyone can see this is what we're working with.
Yes.
This is where we're going with this. And these are the items that still need to be taken care of. And
Right.
everyone can see where they need to be working. You can color code it if you want.
Yes.
You can have reminders. You can make it as complex as you want or as simple as you want, but you got to have one.
And also, when you have your meeting, have an announcement of any changes. Because if somebody's made a change they didn't know about because it's such a big list, it can mess things up. So say these are the changes that have been made this week. And then add those and then tell everybody so they know.
And there should only be one person making changes. If there's a change that needs to be made, it needs to go to the point person, whether that's the event planner or the event coordinator or your event, the person who's in charge of overseeing that particular event. You need to say, oh, there's a change that needs to be made. We come to this person acknowledges, yes, that change can be made. Then it gets made and then it gets disseminated out to everybody. Hey, this is, communication's everything. So send out an email, send out a text, tell it in the meeting so everyone knows this is the change that has been made. It's been authorized. It's good. That way everyone's not just going through and making changes.
Not the person going in there, well, I need 6 breaks during the event.
6 breaks?
Yeah, somebody could be adding breaks.
Why?
So they can get away from the event or something, go potty, go smoke.
That's not someone you want on your team.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
So if that's a challenge, that would not be on my team very long. So.
That's right. Listen up.
Now,
I'm not talking about me. I'm just saying in general, there are people out there that will start adding things for themselves to be more comfortable. And give themselves even less tasks also.
That's a whole nother podcast, a whole nother show, a whole nother topic.
Maybe the next one.
If that
watch out who you're hiring
is on there, then you've hired the wrong people. You have the wrong people on your team.
Yes.
Everybody should be as a collective whole working towards the common good. What is our end result? What is it we're going to be doing at this event? What is the purpose of this event? And we all need to be working towards that, right? We need to have that culture, those core values, that...
And watch out for the poisonous person or whatever who doesn't want to go to the event and is complaining and everything else. That will bring the other people down as well.
Again,
so you got to watch out.
That person shouldn't be on the event team.
Yes, exactly.
So it comes down to, we kind of got off on a tangent there, hire correctly and fire quickly. You know what I mean? Like that you want to hire slow, and if that ends up being a challenge, then there's the door, because that is not working together as a collective whole. That is not, and it does, one bad apple does spoil the bunch. So you want people who are excited to be there. You want people who have smiles on their faces.
They're out of the office.
They're out, they're meeting people. You want people,
out.
Right?
Yes.
You want people who like being around people, who don't want to be at the office, who want to get out there.
Get out and meet
but also,
people, yes.
what
Shake
is
hands.
the purpose of the event? The purpose is to
build relations.
impact
Yes.
the attendees that you have coming through the door. So that's the main purpose. What are we doing? How are we transforming?
Impactful event.
How are
Yes.
we impacting? How are we,
Connecting
making
with.
this event the best it can be and the best experience for the attendees? That should be the look. And you want people who are going to be on your team, who are helping
gonna bring that.
with that, who are,
Yes.
hey, we could do this, or hey, we could do that, or let's do this, or this is an idea that we have. And you want to get that synergy going, but also, listen to your team too. So checklist before, during, and after. You should have your checklist. Everyone on the team who's the part of the event team should have roles and responsibilities and tasks that they need to cover. There should be one person overseeing that.
Yes.
You should be having weekly meetings to check in
Yes.
on what's going on, where are we at, what's the status. If something, now you do want open communication too. You don't want to wait for that weekly team meeting if something needs to be handled. Like if you have your weekly team meetings on Monday and something comes up on Wednesday and they think, well, I'll just talk to you about that at the team meeting. No, you need to address the things that need to be addressed so that you can continue moving forward.
Right.
So
everybody's on the same page.
you have your weekly team meeting, but then you also let everyone know, hey, if something comes up between now and our next meeting, reach out, shoot me an email, talk to me in the hall, give me a call, send me a text. Like let's get that challenge solved now so everyone can continue moving forward. We don't wait for the meeting to address the challenge.
And also have your do's and don'ts for the meeting and for the event, because everybody thinks that they're at the office and they act a certain way or they can do certain things, but at the event it's going to be different. So they have to have their mindset of being on top of it and work on those changes.
Yeah.
And because do's and don'ts, the phone the whole time, certain things.
There needs to be expectations,
Yes.
right? And so when you're having an event, expectations should be, we're here, we're high energy, right? We are here to serve. We're here to add value. We're here to help. We're here to answer questions. We're
Yes.
here to, put on the best event experience possible. We're here to connect. We're here to build relationships. Like, what are we here to do? And we can focus on that. And then you can say, hey, we're not going to be on our phones. This is a no phone zone.
No,
we're not on our
nothing.
phones. Even if you're on there for an important reason, people don't know. And then they're like, oh, well, they're zoned out because they're over here. And you are, because if you're on your phone or you're on your computer,
just like
you're
smoke
not
breaks.
focused on what's going on, what's happening on stage, what are the attendees doing, what is the speaker talking about. So if someone comes back and asks you a question and you don't know because you weren't paying attention to what the speaker said, then it's like, So you need to have that in the room. There's a no phone zone. There can be one person who is the point person that maybe they need their phone on them, but if something, you step out and take care of that, right? And then you come back in. So you also...
unless you're giving a message to the head person that they need them or something's happening.
Right,
that
that's
they
different.
Need, right.
Yeah.
There's
So-
a difference between sending a message to the right person.
Correct.
for
And
that.
just sitting there on your phone doing whatever.
Yes.
You could have, there's a time and a place. Have a staff room, have a green room, have a place where everybody can go and take care of, refresh, recharge, re-energize. Get on your phone if you need to do some stuff. Have, your computer time, whatever that is, but don't do it in the room, because when you're in the room, you're focused on the
what's
attendees.
happening.
You're focused on the speaker and what's going on.
Correct.
So when you have those expectations, it helps, because then everyone knows, okay, well, we're not on our phone, right? That's just part of it. We don't eat at the back of the room, right?
Nope.
We're not going
Keep
on
the
breaks.
table clean,
If you need to take a potty break, you take a potty break.
Yes,
One
or
at
a bathroom break.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whichever. Potty, bathroom, that's all the same.
Oh, no. I have to
If
say
you need
that.
to tinkle, you go.
Yes.
You don't tinkle in the room,
Go winkle,
okay?
yes.
If you need to tinkle,
Yes.
you don't go in the room.
I'm attempting still to get rid of that potty. Having these kids, boy, everything's potty. Even at the event, I told somebody I have to go potty. I did. I corrected myself. I was like,
I need to use the facilities, please.
Yes.
But that's all. During breaks, that is not the time that staff or event team goes on their break, right?
Yeah.
That is not the time,
No,
because
not
you
all
don't
at
want
the
to
same
be
time either.
mingling. Again, it's like you want to talk about these things ahead of time. And if you don't,
Yes.
then that's part of your checklist too, and your schedule. It's like on your schedule, you have the breaks, but then you do need to have, a team break. Now that does not mean everyone on the team takes their break at the same time.
Yes.
You kind of can go in like shifts. So, hey, why
Right.
don't you go ahead at this time?
Teams of 2, teams of 3.
Right, depends on how many people you have on your team too.
Yes.
But you never want the room left alone, and you never
Yes.
want one person in the room by themselves. You want to have a couple people to handle what's going on. But you do. You need to go to the bathroom. Maybe you need to go, get some coffee or some
Right.
tea or drink some water.
Same
or
with coaches also.
Maybe they're part of the team. You want to maybe you want to go for a walk. Maybe you want to step outside and get some fresh air. Maybe you're hungry and need a break. Maybe you want to get on your phone for a little bit. Maybe you make a phone call. Right? This is not prison. This is not
No.
But you don't want, you set these expectations up ahead of time. You have your checklist and you have your schedule, and on your schedule you have those break times that are outside of the normal break time, because
Yes.
when you go on break as an event, at your event, that's when your team needs to be ready. They need to be there to answer questions, direct traffic, help people, talk to people. That's a
lot.
whole time. That's not
Yes.
when you go to the bathroom too, right? Because, and again, like as a speaker or as a coach or as a staff person, when you're going to the bathroom and you're, I don't go to the men's bathroom, but you're standing in the urinal next to the other person's urinal, or you're in the stall next to the person, you want a little more privacy. You want a little more layer in between the attendee experience
Yes.
and the team, the staff, and all that.
Yes.
So you think about those things ahead of time, right?
Correct.
You're not expecting someone to hold it all day. You want to,
Yep.
but again, not at the same time. So
No.
have a couple different ways that you're working on that.
Yes.
So AV, who are you going after? Who are you doing in-house? I would suggest not. Go to your outside. Do you have your own AV? There's so many things that come up. And on your checklist, those are all before event things, right?
And
what
times.
kind of food and beverage are we doing? This is all your checklist, but your checklist and your schedule kind of go
Yes.
hand in hand, right?
That's right.
So,
this is going to happen at this time.
Right.
This is going to happen at that time.
or hey,
Yes.
we're going to have this. We need it on the schedule. If you're going to have whatever moving part or thing that needs to be done for the event needs to be on your checklist.
Correct.
And then the schedule, see, they kind of, it's not one or the other, it's both, right? It's not either or, it's an and. You want a checklist and a schedule, right? And
Yes.
you want your schedule, your main schedule, and then you're going to kind of have a BEO schedule with the venue as well, right?
Right,
So
because
on
they're
that
gonna be ready to
schedule,
come in.
it
Yes.
coincides with your event schedule of we're starting at this time, we're ending at this time, we're
Right.
taking breaks at this time, we're
Right.
doing
We're
lunch
running
at
a
this
little
time.
late, so hold off on that for this time.
Right. And
Yes.
so all of those kinds of things come into play. So there's lots of moving parts, but on your schedule, you want your times blocked out. What are we doing during this time? And
Yep.
it needs to be specific, right? It's not just, hey, we're doing something between 9 and 10. What's happening between 9
What
and 10?
subject are they speaking on?
Who's speaking? What are they speaking on?
How long do they have?
What are their requirements?
Yes.
What do they need? So on, right? And then,
Right.
okay, are you taking a break? Are you going to sales? Are you
Yes.
selling from stage? Are you selling at the back?
Is the break happening during sales?
Do you,
Or
tell everyone to
after.
go back tables and everyone else can break if they're not buying, right?
Right.
Or are you having one-on-ones? Are you sitting down with people
Yes.
and talking to them? What are coaches and consultants sitting down? Those all need to be in the schedule. When is that happening? Because you don't want to be pulling people out of the room for their one-on-ones
Right.
during some important information that's being covered, right? So you got to kind of work within that. Look at the schedule. What's happening? When's a good time to bring people out? Are you doing things in the morning before the event? That needs to be on the schedule. Are something happening after? Are you having VIPs or a dinner or a cocktail after the event? Again, schedule. And you want everyone to be aware of what's
Yes.
going on the schedule so everyone's on the same page.
Correct.
And that's the purpose of your checklist. That's the purpose of your schedule.
Yes.
It keeps your event flowing. It
Yes.
keeps everyone in the know. Now, on schedule, while we're talking about that, you do not want your attendees to have your schedule. You
Never,
do not want
never,
them.
never. Never. Let's X that. Never.
No. You can
Because
tell
they'll
them.
hold you to it and don't make any changes. Why? You're going to have to explain. How come this speaker didn't show up here? we set, even though you set them for tomorrow because they were running late, but you don't want to have to explain that to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So don't, because they'll ream your butt.
The only thing you want attendees to know is what time you're starting and around what time you're ending. And if there is going to be...
And the lunch break.
If you are providing meals, you need to let them know that too. Hey, we're providing breakfast at this time. Come in and then we're going to have registration. Or, we're going to break for lunch, but don't worry because we have lunch covered for you. Or, hey, select people, or we're going to go to dinner, or we're doing a working lunch, or there's all these. So you want to let them know if it has to do with start and end times, we're going to start promptly at this time and we're going to end about this time. About this time.
Yes.
And then if you're providing certain meals, you want to let them know that too. Because some people nowadays, they bring their own food, or they Uber in food, or they plan a lunch over here, or a dinner over here. Maybe they made dinner reservations. They're like, oh, well, we're providing dinner for you. We're going to have this. So those are the kind of things you want to let them know. But you do not want to let them know that so-and-so is going on at this time. We're talking about this at this time.
It'll be a morning during housekeeping when somebody's on the stage. Hopefully not the speaker, but MC or somebody else explaining, what time we're ending, what time we're having breaks, and certain things like that.
And that's it. That's all that you let them know about the schedule.
Yes,
and
no recording and no phones, turn them off.
The rest of the schedule is for you to know and for them to find out when it happens, right? Because there are times, there are things when you might need a little buffer room. Maybe you need to run a little long on something, or maybe you're gauging the room and you're just like, you know what? We need to call an audible. And you do that, right? Because you're so engaged on what's going on, you can feel the energy, or you can sense we're missing something here, right? And instead of saying, well, we'll cover it on the next event, it's like, no, we need to change something now. We need to pattern interrupt. We need to shift something. We need to move something. Hey, we need to take a break right now, and we'll come back. Like, we've had instances where things are going on in the room, and we need to take a break so we can fix the challenge that no one knows is going on.
The leak's coming from the roof.
We had the leak coming from the roof. We've had
the fire alarms that's really loud and doesn't stop.
I mean, it's not a fire, but someone tripped it or something happened. The
fire marshal wants to come in and kick you out because you're doing something you're not supposed to.
There's all kinds of reasons behind why you might want to change. Maybe you come back from lunch and you notice wow, the energy is low. So maybe we need to take a 5 or 10, and we can do a little bit of networking right now. So let's have a network. Let's get everyone up. Let's get everyone
play
talking.
Some music.
Let's
not
get
too
everyone
loud.
moving around the room. There's all kinds of things.
Or even they dance too.
Yeah, you want to have your schedule, but you also want to read the room. And if you notice in the room, we need to change something, we need to tweak something, we need to do something.
Everybody's going to sleep after lunch.
Or you just notice, hey, that topic didn't hit as well as we thought. Or,
so don't use it for next time.
You know what? We have a lot of questions. People are coming to the back tables and they're confused about what the heck y'all were just talking about up there. We need to go back and address that. So let's have a Q&A session that we weren't planning so that we can make sure, because remember, you want people to get the information. And also, if you're selling, a confused mind never buys. So if they're confused, if they're unclear, if they don't know, if it went over their head and they're just sitting there like, or you see that look on their faces where it's kind of going in one ear and out the other. This is why you want to be engaged in the room. You want to have a pulse on what's going on. And you want to be able to change and tweak and move. You want to have your schedule, but then you need what I like to call a little buffer room, a little flexibility in there, right? Because you never know when you might need it. You want to be able to move. And if you have a schedule and the attendees know about that schedule, then they're going to be like, well, how come we're doing this? What is we doing? And I know so many people have beautiful printed out, this is what we're talking about at the event, and they have each speaker, and they have a page and a bio and a thing at the very smack dab in the front of that. What is it? It's the event schedule. Moment by moment by moment by moment.
Asking
and the
for
attendees, they study that, they know,
they get mad.
And then they're like, you know what? Tomorrow morning, we have this 7 o'clock thing, but I'm not really interested in that.
No.
So I'm going to sleep in. Or if you're in Vegas, I'm going to go gamble.
Or I saw that subject before. I don't want to go for there. So they'll be in and out like this.
And that, again, that disrupts the energy in the room. Doors are constantly opening and closing. Seats are not full. It looks a little empty. You don't want that. So the way that you circumvent that is they don't know who's coming on when.
Nope.
They don't know what topic's being spoken at which time.
No.
And that gives you the flexibility to move.
do what you want.
But it
Yes.
also keeps the energy in the room. It keeps the attendees in the room, and it keeps things
Yes.
flowing. So
Yes.
that's the main thing.
And
You
flow
want
is important.
It is. Energy is important. Being
Yes.
able to move and navigate. You don't want to say, we're having an event, we're covering these topics. I mean, obviously, you want to have time blocks. You want to have things
Yes.
planned out, but you also want to be okay with moving, changing, adapting, growing,
Yes.
evolving from where you thought you were going to be to where it is.
Yes.
And sometimes things come up too. Maybe we've had it before where the fire alarm does go off. And guess what happens when a fire alarm goes off? You have to leave. So then what happened? Well, I got a schedule. I got to stick to my schedule. What's going to...
Yeah.
So then now you might need to back up the day, or you might need to start earlier in the morning, or
Yes.
you know what? Maybe you work through lunch. And so
Yes.
you get a quick grab and go, and everyone comes back. Like,
Or you
there's-
change something you were going to do for tomorrow. You just put that part in because it's shorter.
Right. So you change things around, but if you have that buffer room built into your schedule,
Yes.
it helps because things happen. Stuff
Yes.
comes up. It just does. When you have an event, you can have everything planned down to the littlest
Yep.
detail, but if you
Correct.
don't have some flexibility in there, you're going to have some headaches and hassles to deal with because it happens. It's evolving.
Yeah. Every
you're
event's
at
different.
someone's venue. You're not in control of the weather. You're not
No.
in control of
No.
the road being closed. You're not. We've had that too. Like, hey, we were starting the
Yes.
event at 9:00. And then people are coming in like, oh my gosh, it took me 2 hours. There's a huge accident over here.
Yep.
The road is
Happens
closed.
every time.
It happens. So people are there. Then what can you do?
Yes.
No one's, half the people are there, half aren't. So that's not on their fault. I mean, they
Right.
left plenty early.
So
then you
start
throw
networking.
in Q&A, or you
Yeah.
start in a networking session,
Right.
or there's all kinds of. Or you could have maybe some games that you play, not like children's games, but games
Adult
where
games.
you're having them kind of work an assignment that
Yes.
works towards the event. You want to be like Mary Poppins. You want to always have a trick,
Yes.
a thing, something you can pull out of your bag,
Yep,
something
just in
you
case
can
something
use
happens.
because you might not. You might
That's
need
right.
it, and you don't. If you don't
Correct.
have it, and it's like, dang it, what am I doing?
Yep,
Right?
that's it.
So the more that you do with your checklist, the better your event is going to be. The better everyone's going to be on the same page. And most
Don't be
importantly,
vague.
no. And most importantly, though, you know that everything is taken care of.
Yes.
And that's
and
why.
then you could take that deep breath and just go into it knowing you're going to have a kick-ass event.
And whoever's in charge of the event needs to then go back through the check marks and make sure, okay, are we just checking, or is it really checked
Right.
and completed? Because sometimes people get a little happy checking things off the
Yeah.
list, and they
when
get
it's
a little
not really
gung-ho,
taken care
and
of.
it's not really taken care of, or maybe it was half done and not really fully done. And so that's that person's job to go back through,
And check.
that point person, and make sure, right?
Yes.
So flexibility. Having your
Yes.
checklist, making sure everyone's on the same page, making
Yes.
sure that you know what's coming, what's expected
Yeah,
of your team
master
members.
checklist.
Have your master checklist. Have the one point person that oversees that. Delegate. No one person needs to do everything. You
Nope.
have your team. Delegate all those tasks
To the
out,
right
but
people.
oversee and make sure they get done. And then
Yeah.
the same thing at the event. There's always things that are going to be going on at the
Yes.
event. You have people who are in charge of that, oversee and make sure it gets done. And that's how you have an impactful event, which then turns
Yes,
into
a
a
profitable
event.
Yes.
And then it turns into an event experience that people are going to talk about. They're going to want to come
They're
back
gonna
for
remember.
more. They're going to want to continue doing business with you.
Yes, and
it's
stay
going to
with you.
leave a lasting impact with them
Because that's
as
what
well.
you want, a lasting impact.
Yeah, and that's really where you want to go with your event. So
Yep.
if you are in the middle of planning an event and you don't have a checklist, stop
Start building it right now.
and work on building one now. If
From start, middle to the end.
if you've had an event before and you had a schedule, but it wasn't
But you
really a
never
schedule
went
that
through
you
your
followed,
schedule. Yeah.
or you didn't really work on your schedule now, right?
Yes.
Those are all things, no matter where, if you're starting, then great. Then you can start from the beginning and work your way through. But if you're kind of in the middle of it, or you're like, I've done this before, back up and make sure you have a checklist before, during, and after.
Yes.
Any moving part needs to have a checklist.
Yep.
With that. And then your schedule, make sure that's worked out and that you have that, and then don't print out things that have the schedule on them for everyone
No.
to see.
Not at all. No.
One caveat on that. A lot of times team members want to have a copy of the schedule so they know what's going on during what time and so that they
Yes.
can kind of plan. The challenge with that is the schedule gets put down on the table or gets put over
Yes.
here, and then the attendees will grab it and pick
keep
it up.
Yes.
So you need to have like one
A meeting
master
about that.
copy,
Yes.
and that copy can be in
Yes.
the staff room, or it can be, with
Or
the
even
point
a
person.
digital copy, too.
Or you can
Yeah.
have it, everyone, but again, they're not really on
on
their
their
phones.
phones, yes.
So you don't want them constantly looking for that. So you have one central place where that checklist is, and it's not just a piece of paper floating around. It's in a binder.
they'll leave it
or
right-
it's in a
right
something.
there.
Because we've had that happen before too.
All the
and then
time.
people are like, oh, and then they take it. Oh, and then somehow
And they'll
copies
keep
get made
it.
of it.
Oh,
We've had
yeah.
copies be made
And
of
revolt.
things. And then it's
Yes.
so you don't
Yes.
want that. So keep your schedule close to the chest and the vest,
Yes.
and don't let people see it. And have the one copy, and don't get a whole bunch out there. But all right,
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about?
That's it.
All righty. So remember, checklist,
Yes.
schedule, get on it. No matter where you are, you're fine to start where you are and back up if you need to. Make sure, like if you're in the
Make
middle,
changes if you need
have
to.
an event come up in a few weeks, think about all the moving parts and put that together, right?
Yes.
What do you need so that you can go forward and create? Remember, and it's all about impact, and
Yes,
it's about what are you wanting the attendees to get out of this, and how are the moving parts being taken care of? So then,
Yes.
at your event, you're good to go.
That's it.
All right. We will talk to you guys again soon. Thank you so much for joining us for another
you.
episode. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.